Okay, so now QTP, I have just recorded this simple flow of login using QTP. Okay, now you have to tell me what QTP has done in the background when I had recorded this flow.
What QTP has done?
Yeah, what has QTP done in the background when I was recording this flow?
It first understand on that page what all objects are there, and then it just try to save properties of objects.
Okay.
And based on what we are interacting, it's actually creating the script.
What was that last part?
Whatever interactions, like whether they're clicking or doing login or
yes, user actions, that is the methods. Yeah. Just like set Sunil, okay, set secure, whatever password you put, or this dot click. Okay, so it is recording your objects, it is also recording what actions you perform. Okay, because if it will not record the actions, how do you think it will replay back those actions? So it has to learn both objects and actions. Okay.
But it shows other objects also. I mean, although we are not doing.
Okay. So let's check. Let's find out whether it does it or not. Okay. So now I'll go to the object repository. Okay. If you press Ctrl R or hit this button out here, can you see my screen?
Yeah. I'm able to.
Okay. Can you see this QTP has opened on my this thing screen?
Yes.
Okay. So okay, just see this icon. As soon as I click it, it will show me the object repository. See what it has recorded. This is your global object repository. Okay. So for this action, this is local. This for this action, these are the objects that it has recorded. Can you see this window? This is the first login window that we have recorded. Okay. Then there is an OK button, then there is user ID, then there is a password.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's see, what is the function of an object spy. Okay.
No, but like you were saying, like this flight reservation window is open. So you're saying these all objects which is present on this window.
See, that's up to the configuration. How do I configure my recording? By default, it will record the objects which I'm interacting with. Okay, so now if I continue recording, just see, I'm continuing to record now. Okay. Okay, now I click on this. Okay. See, as soon as I activated this window, it has learned this object window reservation. Okay. I have not until now until I clicked only OK button, I didn't perform anything on the new window. It has just opened up. So as soon as I activated this window, it showed that window has been stored in this object repository. Okay, so now let's find out whether this window has been added to the object repository.
Okay, no, but user is definitely required. Now, when the object is supposed to be stored into the object repository.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's configurable. You can configure what QTP can learn and what it can't. Okay, we can configure it, but that's an advanced thing, and that's just a piece of information. Okay, so you may not want to get into those details right away, because first of all you have to learn your basics, and then you can go into those details.
Okay.
Okay. So I have opened this window. Now let's see whether QTP has recorded this or not. See, it has already recorded this thing. Okay. Can you see this flight reservation window out here?
Yeah.
In the object repository?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what does an object spy do? Okay. Now this is the icon for object spy. What I'll do is I'll just click on this object spy. It will open the object spy window. Okay. It will give me this pointer wherein I have to show which object I want to know the properties about. Okay. So let's click this object. Okay. As soon as I click that object, this object spy return me all the properties of that object. See this class window button, absolute coordinate 502, absolute y is 145. See the status that is enabled, it is not, is true. Okay. Can you see this now?
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
last time Kamini showed me this, and she was not clear about just what absolute x and y is. I mean, there is coordinates defined in down properties.
Yes, these are the coordinates. These are the coordinates.
No. If you go down in the same window, there will be another the same coordinates that will define x, y. This is x, y, right? Yeah.
See, this is the coordinate. First of all, these are the coordinates. These are the absolute coordinates. Okay, and these are not the absolute coordinates. Okay, because absolute coordinates are dependent upon what is the resolution of your screen. Okay, it can depend upon different factors.
Okay. So
Okay.
what is the difference?
Yeah.
What is the difference between absolute x and normal x? I mean, actual x is
See, absolute is something, you know, absolute is something when you change your reference from 0 to something. Okay. Say, for example, I'm just giving you an example. If your linear coordinates are like, if the origin of your graph is towards the left bottom, okay, that's a 0. Okay, if you move this 0 to some other place in your screen, then it becomes an absolute coordinate for that origin.
Okay.
Okay, so it means an offset from the existing coordinates. Okay, but there is hardly a situation wherein you use these coordinates. You don't use them at all.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, it will tell you the properties, and then it will tell you what are the possible methods that you can execute on this. See this.
Okay.
Okay. So these are all the methods that you can execute on this object.
Okay.
Okay. So now you understood why do you use object spy?
Yeah. To
Yeah, why do you do
know
that?
any object property.
Okay, but why would you want to know an object property?
So that we can perform the action on it.
Okay, but how will you perform an action knowing the object property?
Let me see. I think it give you the time and where the can be used and Sunil, you can.
Hello?
Yeah, Sunil, you tell me. I'm not able to get anything.
Okay. See, you can see the properties of the object in object spy. Okay, what if you want to change this property? Okay, for example, if my first of all, whenever I was recording, okay, if my object spy had recorded this slides button as enabled.
Yeah.
Okay, if it has recorded this property as enabled, and next time I want to check, see this enabled property is false. Okay, so now next time I want to ensure that next time when I run it on the new version of my application, it is false. It should by default false.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll capture this property. Okay, I'll capture its value, and next time when I'm running it on the new version of the application, I'll check the status of this property. If it is false, then I'll say that it's a failed test case.
If it's a false, then it is a fail.
Yeah, because it was by default, it is not. Okay, see, if your expected result is this button should be disabled.
Yeah.
Okay. Next time what I'll do is I'll get this property of this button, okay, through my script. Now next time I won't be using object_spy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be getting the property of this button. Which property I'll get? I'll get
The
enabled.
Enable.
Enable property. What is the value of the enable property? It is false here.
yeah.
Okay. Next time I'll check the status of this enable property. If I find it as false, okay, then my test case has passed, right?
Yeah.
And if this property is not false, then my test case has failed. That means
Yeah.
that
If
object
it is
is
true, then it will get failed.
yes. So your object properties are important when you want to decide whether those objects are in the expected state or not.
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, what I can do is I can simply set this property. Okay, I want to say that I want to set the properties of this object as true. So what I'll do is I'll do the set arrow property to true.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can change it like that.
So by just to change the properties, we can use this object. I mean, this is the second use case.
Yeah, that's the second usage. You can use it in whatever creative way you want to use.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now there are other type. Again, objects are classified as two types of objects. One is test objects and the other is runtime object. Okay. So what is a test object? Test object is nothing but what you have stored in your repository, what QTP has learned. And runtime object is what is you are seeing in the current run.
Seeing in the current run. Okay.
Yeah. For example, my QTP has learned these objects. These objects are already kind of hard-coded state in my QTP object repository. Okay. Next time when I run this application, it will again see this window. Okay.
Yeah.
So the window description that you have stored is a test object, and the window that you're seeing now is a runtime object because it is the status of the object at the runtime, at the current time.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So this is a very important concept that you need to understand. Okay. Because later these runtime objects and the test objects, you can change a lot of properties and you have to use it a lot of places, at a lot of places. Okay.
Yeah, because test objects are something which is already stored. I mean, you can modify it, and during the runtime also you are changing some properties or changing some methods to fail. I mean,
No, see, there is another way to look at it. Test object is your expected result. Okay.
Yeah.
And runtime object is your actual result.
Actual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you change anything in your expected result, I mean in your test stored objects, then your runtime will never be going to recognize, right?
Yes, it will never satisfy. It will always throw an error.
Yeah.
Okay. So one comparison that QTP does while testing an application is GUI comparison. Okay, like object properties it will compare. Okay. There are other options, in which a QTP can identify whether the runtime object is same as the test object or not. Okay. Now, if there is an OK button, I'll give you a scenario. Okay. If there is an OK button in my runtime object. Okay. Next time what happens is the programmer by mistake changes its color. It will change its color. Okay. So how do you find out? How does QTP find out that there is an issue with this OK button?
By seeing properties only.
But the GUI properties will be same, right? Color is not recorded as GUI property.
Okay.
Okay. So in that case, QTP will compare pixel by pixel.
Okay.
Okay. And if there is a difference between these two pixels, then it will throw an error. Okay, but now QTP to compare these two images, let's call them images now. It has to have the expected image, right, with it.
Yeah.
So that is another way of learning an object. You can learn the image.
Okay.
Okay, something like a signature. If Qtp wants to test if the same signature is occurring next time or not, it will do a bitmap recording. That is called as a bitmap recording. It will record bit by bit on the screen for that given object.
Okay. Analog.
Yeah. Okay. So now what have we studied? Can we just recap?
Yeah. So we have learned how this object repositories are useful. Whenever you are recording anything, the objects are getting stored and with along with the properties. These properties will be used when QTP will actually go to do the record and playback part. So it will just compare what we have stored and what we are running at this point of time by these properties only. And we can modify our properties. We can look into or we can see properties of any object by object file.
Okay.
And then there will be storing of when the properties are absolutely same. Then in that case, the index value would be the thing which actually rather I would say when there are two same kind of buttons are there or same kind of objects are there, the object will be identified as indexer. Then the object properties are same and then it will compare using the pixels.
Okay.
And which are actually called as an analog recording. We are using storage or recording.
Okay. Anything else that we have discussed?
Let me recall.
Okay, I think आज थोड़ा overdose हो गया है.
ठीक है, चलेगा. I think we can. So we just discussed the subject only today, right?
Yeah, we just discussed these things, but these are the very important concepts, Ashwini. Okay, whenever you are off this session, probably you need to think about each of these concepts. Whenever you're free, or you need to ask yourself certain questions like why is this designed in this way? Why QTP does it this way? There is a very good reasoning behind each and everything. Okay, so if you'll understand that mechanism, it will be very easy for you to pick up the advanced concepts. Okay, so
sure,
now you know how. Yeah, so how QTP is learning your object. That is what you know now. Okay, you also know now like how does you were saying something?
No.
Okay, so now you also know like how does QTP find out whether the object, the expected result has been achieved or not. Okay, so see this is a very important concept that you should have known. Okay. Okay, so now you know, right, how does QTP find out the difference between the existing and the expected object?
Yes.
Okay. So yesterday I was discussing another thing called as a functional library.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's deal with it today. Okay, I'll write a simple function here. Okay. I think I have somehow, forgotten the syntax for displaying this value.
Syntax,
Okay.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
वो शायद सिंगल
Just
कोट
one.
होना चाहिए या फिर
सिंगल कोट तो कमेंट का होता है ना. I think I have written some. I have not written C. Okay, now you can see it.
yeah.
Okay. So basically, I was displaying something, a variable called as sum, which is not at all there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So अभी इसको अगर देखोगे, if you'll see this,
Yeah, just a
if you'll
minute.
see this,
I have one call. Sunil, just a minute. Just hold on. Hello?
yeah.
Yes, Sunil. Sorry, I got an important call. But
No,
now we
that's
can
fine. That's
continue.
fine. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Now what? Can you see the script?
Yeah, it's there maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, it's nothing but a very basic VB function. Okay, it's a very basic VB function in which I have declared three variants A, B, and C. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it is important to declare your what you call variants. Okay, just for the readability purpose. Okay, even if I don't declare them, let's see what happens. It's still displaying with the results, right? So it means that it's not mandatory for you to declare any variables or variant in VBScript. But as a good coding practice, you usually do this. Option.accumulate. Now let's try to run this script.
You have to declare it later.
Yes. So now it is saying that there is syntax error. That means that
Yeah.
this option explicit, what it does is it forces the user to declare each and every variable that it is using.
Using.
Okay.
Yeah, they done online only.
Okay. Okay. So it's always a good practice to set this as option explicit. Otherwise, you will be declaring a lot of variables, and then they will be taking a lot of memory in your compiler, and eventually will not use them. So it's kind of wastage of your memory.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So it's usually good to do option explicit before you actually write your script. Okay. So now coming back to your function, let's declare this. Okay. Now if I simply I don't want this function here. Okay. I don't want this function here.
Okay. We'll put it in library and then you'll just call it.
Yes, that's what you do. So I'll simply put this function in my function library. Okay, and I'll just call that function from there.
Okay.
Okay. So your function library, it can have n number of functions, plus you can associate any function library with any other test. Okay, now let's see how we can associate a function library. See, this is your function library. Okay.
You have to give that parenthesis. उसके बाद.
Yes, that's what. You know, I have lost a lot of, you know, syntax. I really don't remember the syntax about VBScript because I'm totally into different something else. Okay, there is some some problem here. Okay.
Or you can. Parenthesis आएगा ना, the function ABC and then parenthesis आता है ना.
Arguments. I don't think you have to give arguments here.
No, but just to declare it as a function, whether you pass it anything or not doesn't matter.
Okay, let me check this one. Okay, maybe, you know, it's just like you have to call this function, that's it. Okay, so you can make a library of such functions and you can, you know, reuse that code anywhere in your script. Okay, now, okay, a similar function is if else. Okay, so as soon as you know there is a difference between the if else, that way the way you use it in C and the way you use it in VBScript. Okay, there the function is called as if else and here it's called as if then. Okay, here you have to end your if function with end if. Okay, so as soon as I type if, A is equal to 0, then okay, let's see what it does.
And if something is
क्या कहा?
and
Hello?
yeah, we don't have to do and if.
Okay, that is what, you know, I'm trying to, you know, explain you. What if we give if and what if we give end, what if we don't give end if. But before that I wanted to explain like how do you execute say multiple conduct statements using an if statement. See, it is saying that it is expecting an end. Okay,
Yeah.
so this if has to be ended here. Okay, it has displayed. Now, what if I want to, you know, use inline coding in this? Inline coding is something like in the same line you specify your condition and your the action that you are going to perform if that condition is true or false. Okay, so if I put this statement, that is message box Sunil, out here, then this is called as an inline code. Okay, and this is usually done when you just want to execute one thing after your condition is true.
Okay.
Okay, if I want to say okay, okay, now can you see you can execute two multiple statements, so it becomes an if block now. Earlier it was just a statement, now it's an if block.
Yeah.
Okay, the scope of, you know, your true value is this much.
Yes.
Okay, okay, so it is important, you know, to understand the scope, because now it looks very easy, but as you know your scripts become complex, it is very difficult to, you know, understand the scope. So always, you know, focus on the scope of each and every block of your script.
It's good. Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No, so far. This if else is pretty clear.
I mean, these structures are pretty simple. Okay, I don't even have to, you know, teach them to you. Okay, Sandhya, do you have anything to cover? Sandhya, you
Sunil.
there?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, as per as
Yeah.
day 5 syllabus, yeah, we have covered everything. So tomorrow we'll cover the rest. Hello?
What is this
Hello?
programmatic description?
Yeah.
We can
Programmatic
cover it
description.
tomorrow.
Yeah, see, basically programmatic description is nothing much. Okay, it will just describe you the script. That is what it means, Sandhya, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is what, like,
I
it
think you have
tells
written
through.
this.
No, it's not.
Okay. 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 Hello.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
See, it is nothing but how do you write your code in this IDE? Okay, IDE is integrated development environment.
Okay.
Okay, but
Is it best practice
Ashwini,
or what?
yeah.
Is it a kind of best practice?
No, it's not at all a best practice. In fact, that's just a very generic word. Don't go on that. It's not a best practice at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, any questions on what we had discussed yesterday and today, Ashwini?
No, I think from the concept perspective, I mean, I understood what we are doing and why we are doing it.
Okay. Okay, that's fine then. Okay. Okay. Actually, I also wanted to discuss some menus today, but I think we are short of time now.
I mean, we can end the session.
Okay. Okay. No problems. Okay. Okay. No problems. Okay. So we'll end our session today itself. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye. Good
Sandhya.
night. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Good night.